Welcome to the Trill MBA Show. I'm your host, Felicia Ann Rose Anuha, aka the Trillest MBA you will ever know. And I'm here to help you survive and thrive in corporate America by giving you the truth and being as real as only I can be. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome back to the show. So, since we gotta continue to stay focused on our career progression despite everything going on outside of work, let's get back to building relationships, which is actually the key to any successful career journey and any growth at any organization or company. You have to build relationships. But I don't want you to think about this as a daunting task. I want you to think about it as a proactive task to help you not only survive, but thrive in the workplace. The survive part is when, let's say, you're not having a good time with your manager. You're having an issue with a coworker. If you build this relationship wall right, you'll be able to mitigate when you have these sticky situations by leaning into the relationships that you've built. So that's why relationship building is so important. It's not about just helping you climb the ladder, but it's also to help you get out of the crazy situations you can find yourself in with some of your crazy coworkers. Okay, so before we get started though, let's have our
Corporate Warrior Spotlight.
Today, I want to acknowledge Erica Alexander. She is the Chief Global Officer for Global Operations for Marriott International. Erica Alexander leads operations for more than 5,000 plus hotels across the US and Canada. Her 31-year tenure at Marriott gives her insight into creating, deploying, and sustaining global hotel systems and programs to meet the evolving needs of travelers. And I am sure Erica had a doozy of a 2020. So shout out Erica. In addition, this corporate warrior has served on multiple nonprofit boards, including Leadership Atlanta, the Atlanta Children's Shelter, the International Women's Forum of Georgia, the Ron Clark Academy, and the Executive Committee for the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. Erica holds a BA from the University of Virginia and an MBA from George Mason University. So, you guys, 31 years, that is an amazing career. And I guarantee you, Erica has built many relationships along the way. So, don't know Erica personally, but hope to meet her someday and hear more about her journey with Marriott. Now, relationships. So this is part 2. If you have not listened to part 1, you had some homework to do a couple weeks ago. So you got to go back and listen to that episode first, do the homework, and then come back here and listen to this episode. So a couple of weeks ago, I broke down the first steps of building your relationship wall. And if you were following along, you've done your homework. So now that you've identified these individuals that you want to target to start to build your relationship wall, what's next? Because, you're not going to go ping them and be like, hey, how you doing? My name's Felicia. I've been here for 6 months or so, or I've been here a couple years and want to get to know you better. No, that's not how this works. Okay? This isn't truly about just introducing yourself. And so today, we're going to talk about how you go about starting these relationships, what your intention should be as you go through this, and understand that this is going to take time. This is an investment. Okay? Okay. So now, before you meet with any of these people, you have to get prepared. What are your talking points? What are you trying to tell them? What is your intention, right? Yes, I know your intention is to build this relationship wall, but with this individual person, what is it that you want to learn from them? What is it that you want them to know about you? What will you say to them when you meet with them, either on Teams or face to face? You're not just here to just show your face. That's not the point. The point of building relationships is for them to get to know you as an employee of the organization. That means that you must be prepared. So what are the sound bites you want this person to take away? Every opportunity for interaction with these leaders is an opportunity to own your narrative. You get to tell them what to say about you when you're not in the room. That is a quintessential key to building relationships, is getting people to know the person that you want them to know, right? So first, what are you going to articulate about yourself? Are you able to articulate your value proposition and your strengths and opportunity areas? Okay, Felicia, why are you bringing that up? So if I'm going to meet with a senior leader and I want them to know things about me, what are the things that I want them to take away from that interaction that they can go repeat? Because you got to understand human nature. Whatever you say to these people, they are going to interpret it and they are going to repeat it. So make sure that you have in your mind what you want them to repeat, right? And the things that you want them to repeat around the organization are around your value that you add to the organization, which is couched in your strengths, and also the opportunities that you are working towards learning and gaining. So for example, my strength is resourcefulness. It's what makes me a great executor. Coupled with the fact that I'm highly collaborative. I love working with people. I love working in teams. I love to lead teams. I am able to get things done through leading teams. Now, one of my opportunity areas that I'm looking to demonstrate in my current role is strategy. So I will be leading the strat planning for the new fiscal year. Those would be my sound bites. So when I meet with Bob, hey, Bob, I'm so glad we could take this time and get to know each other a little better. You know, I am excited because you are working on X or you do X role, and I want to learn more about that. And he's like, oh, great. But see, one thing you got to know about leaders is they're always looking for people they can advocate for and people they can sponsor, because that makes them look good. So they are going to ask you questions about yourself. So Bob may turn around and he may say, oh, I'm great, Felicia. Working on XYZ, but we haven't had a chance to really connect, and I want to know more about you. How long have you been with the company? What do you think so far? Blah, blah, blah. However that goes, whether you've been with the company a few weeks, a few months, a few years, right? This is a new relationship that you're building. So you just haven't had time to meet with this person. So you're doing that now. Great. So now what you want to tell Bob is the following. Hey, Bob, I've been with the company XYZ time. It's been amazing. I've learned so much. One of the things I've been able to really, deliver value with is my resourcefulness. That's my superpower. And so I'm really good at being resourceful, and it allows me to be an excellent executor. And because of that, the resourcefulness, and I like to be highly collaborative. I love working with teams. And so because of that, I lead teams to execute with excellence. That's what I'm good at. Now, the thing that I am working on is I want to be more proficient in demonstrating my strategic chops. So what I've done is I have raised my hand to lead our strategy planning for the next fiscal year. And that's my big project that's due in a couple of months. So I would love to hear what you're working on and how, as I'm working on that project, how we could collaborate and how we can work together. Do you see how I did that? And get him now talking about him. And so for the rest of the time, he's going to be talking about him. You're going to be asking him all questions about him. Because what you want is them to do more talking and you to do most of the listening, right? But the key there is to make sure that you seed in, when he asks you about you, the sound bites. So I've picked out my sound bites, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if those are the best sound bites, right? This is just an example, but you want to make sure that your sound bites are what the organization really values. If the organization doesn't value executing and they value strategy, then I'd have to change my soundbite up. I'd have to focus on, well, I'm really, into building strategy, and this year I'm leading the strat planning for the new fiscal year because that's what I'm really, good at and excited about. Flip it around. You can play with it, right? It's just language. It's nuance, but make sure it's intentional. Okay. So when we get back from the break, I'm going to walk you through how to pull out from Bob what you need to know about him as you're working to build this relationship, and then how you also continue to weave your sound bites in when we get back from the break. All right, so as y'all heard, Chris put me on blast the last episode of season 4 and pretty much said, you gonna ask these people for help and you gonna start this Patreon. So I started a Patreon page, working on additional content. Go on over to patreon.com/TrillingBA show and become a patron and help us make more dope content to help us survive and thrive in corporate America. All right, and we are back. So we talked about in the first segment, sound bites and making sure that you are intentional about what you want the person to take away about you. Now, I'm assuming you have coffee chats on the calendar, and I'm assuming you've been able to set up meetings with your target list. If you are struggling to do that, this is where you need to reach out, phone a friend, somebody you work with who, you vibe with already. Let them know, like, hey, I want to build better relationships in the organization. And so I'm trying to reach out to these people. I think they would be interested in my work and what I'm working on now. And I'd like to share that with them. I'd also like to learn more about what they're working on. And then as you have those conversations, people will be like, oh, you should go talk to such and such, and you should go talk to such and such, right? But pay attention to your strategy. Again, stay focused on the people who are going to be in the room when your manager is talking about you and they're calibrating you, because That is the goal, getting people in the room that talk positively about you and have positive interactions to share about you and know your sound bites, right? The other thing you want to do is make sure that you have let your manager know that you are going to be building these relationships. If you have a good relationship with your manager, you should tell your manager what you're trying to do. Not so explicitly. Don't tell them about the target list. Definitely don't tell them about this episode, right? You don't want to come off as being manipulative, but what you want to tell your manager is like, hey, I really like it here. Remember, uber positive. I really like it here. And I see myself growing my career here. And I know part of growing my career is building relationships. And that's something I haven't really been focused on. And I want to get more focused on it. And so because of that, I've identified some people that I think are doing interesting work and have had interesting careers here. And I want to get to know them better. And I want them to know me. So I'm going to be working to build relationships with the broader leadership team and your peers and your boss's peers. I don't even know if I would give that much detail. It may just be, hey, I'm going to be reaching out to leaders and I'm working on building relationships in the organization. It could be that simple. They should support you. If you have a bitch ass boss and they don't support you, or if you get some kind of weird, funky, like, oh, why are you doing that? Because I'm building relationships, because we should be building relationships. If they're any kind of discouraging, just ignore them because they on some fuck shit. Point blank. Keep going. And then once you've told them, you let them know you've done that courtesy. Don't talk about it anymore. Don't even bring it up. Let it go. And if they ask you about it and be like, oh, I'm just working to continue my career here and build relationships, it's important. And that's it, right? Because you got to understand, some managers are just not equipped. They're just not. They got their job because they probably bitched and moaned and complained to get there. Like, they probably weren't really ready to be a people manager. They just trying to climb the ladder. And being a people manager sometimes is a prerequisite to climb, unfortunately. So if you do have this type of manager, don't get flustered. Don't put any energy into it. Let them say whatever they want to say. And then you go do what you gonna do. Okay? Now, the thing you do need to let your boss know, though, when you are meeting with their manager, you have to let them know. Like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm having a skip level meeting with your manager, just a meet and greet. If there's anything pertinent that comes out of that conversation, I will let you know. My goal is that you don't have any surprises. That's all you need to say. Okay? You just don't want your boss to be surprised. What you don't want is you have a conversation with their manager, then their manager goes to them and be like, well, blah, 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 blah. And then your boss looking at you like, bitch, right? So you want to avoid that. And the way you avoid that is by letting your boss know, like, hey, tomorrow I'm meeting with such and such, your manager. So just want to let you know, I'll keep you abreast if any action items come out of that meeting. It's just a meet and greet, skip level, connect. And your boss, again, should have no problems. But if they do, you already know your boss is stupid. And you just have to keep doing what you got to do and ignore them, because clearly there's an issue, which is just more reason why you need to build relationships. Right? If you're having this kind of manager. And heck, if you want to, you can tell them that you have a career coach. And this is one of the exercises, is to have these skip level meetings with leaders and do your networking and build relationships in the organization, as you're growing your career there. So tell them that. Now, when you meet with these leaders, the goal again is twofold. One, get them talking about themselves. And two, share your sound bites, right? Just like we talked about before. But I want you to understand that when you talk to them, you want to let them know that your goal is to learn more about them and more about the company through them so that you can deliver your best work, right? So going back to the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, you gotta really hone in on the principle of become genuinely interested in other people. And I know this is difficult because we don't really care about these people. Right? Like, not really, really, really. I mean, there's so much going on. And it feels like they don't care about us, right? So it's hard to care about somebody that you feel like doesn't care about you. But I need you to change your mindset a bit, right? And I need you to think about how to be intellectually curious about the people you work with. So instead of looking at them crazy and wondering why they do the silly shit that they do, switch that around and say, hey, there's a reason why they did what they did, and I may not understand it. So let me get to know them better. And maybe they'll tell me something that I didn't even realize that will make some of this make sense to me, right? So when you talk to them, ask them about their career before this company that they're at now and their career at the company. Ask them what's keeping them up at night. Ask them what gets them excited about their current role and what's the meaty big project or hairy goal that they have for this quarter or this year. Ask them what do they see themselves doing next in the company. So ask them what their next role is. Now, the reason why I really love this question is because it'll let you understand better the type of leader you're talking to. Because an intentional leader, they know what their goal is or their next role looks like. They can articulate that. They've thought about it. They understand that in this role, they're getting a certain set of critical skills. And the reason why they're getting those skills is so like the next role and the next role, like they have a North Star for themselves. They know how to manage their career. Those are the leaders that you really want to pay attention to. Those are the people you want to find and you want to learn from and you want to get to know them the best because those are the ones that are really astute in the politics and the navigation of the workplace. You can learn a lot from those people. If you come up against a leader that you ask them like, okay, so what do you think you might do next in the organization? And they're like, well, I haven't really thought that far. I just started in this role and I'm really just focused on delivering results and blah, blah, blah. That person's blowing smoke up your ass, especially if they say those buzzy words that I just said. They on some bullshit. Either they don't want to show their cards, they're hiding something, or they really are just failing forward and they're inept. Either way, you don't want to fuck with them, right? So just keep it cordial, keep it cute, right? And just be nice and friendly and make sure that that person has your sound bites because that same person is the same person who will run around and tell that all over the building. Trust and believe. You got to understand, guys, there's only about 16 different personality types. And there's a lot of overlap because humans are going to human. So the person who's inept and can't articulate what their next career steps are or why, or they come off very unintentional, trust, they gonna be the main ones saying, I met with Felicia today and she blah, 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 blah. And I just think she's so great. And blah, they're gonna be the most vocal. As always, the people with the least amount of should be talking, they do the most of the talking. So don't forget that. Okay, so when we get back from the break, I'm going to break down what the most important thing you need to take away from this episode about building relationships when we get back. The Trill MBA Show is happy to announce a partnership with a fantastic organization named Juno. Juno uses the power of group buying to help people get lower interest rates on new student loans and student loan refinancing. So if you're like me and you got a bunch of student loans and the interest rate is high, Juno can help you get lower interest rates so you can pay off your student loans faster. Listen, I am so excited about this. Why? Because Juno is completely free. It is a free resource. You have no obligation to take the offered deals. Juno gives power back to us, the borrowers, and allows us to take ownership of our financial future. I am so excited about this partnership, and the process to becoming a member is simple, and it only takes 2 minutes. So check out the link in the show notes to learn more and get lower interest rates on your student loans, y'all. Let's save this money, okay? Now back to the show. All right, guys, welcome back from the break. Now it's time for the most important thing. Understand, this building relationships takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. So if you're sitting up there thinking you need to be promoted right now, doing this is not going to get you there faster, right? Because this takes time and something you should have been doing way before it's time for you to be promoted. So if you think you're due for a promotion, but you haven't built any relationships, and you feel like your boss is giving you some bullshit, and you feel like I'm not getting anywhere at this company, you might want to go to another company, get your promotion elsewhere. Because to get promoted is truly about building relationships. Okay? You got to think about this as if it's a savings account. You have to put in many deposits before you make a withdrawal. And you only really want to make a withdrawal when you really need to withdraw. Like, I need this right now. Building relationships is no different. And not everyone is going to be willing to build a relationship with you. And that's okay. That's why you got your hit list. That's why you have the list of people you want to go after. And you just need 3 of your manager's peers in the calibration room, right? Like, you don't need everybody talking about Felicia. Like, I don't need the whole everybody. I just need some key people that are vocal, right? And so that's what you want to really stay focused on. You want to cast a wide net knowing that you only going to get a few fish back to the shore. Okay? But those fish are going to feed you like Jesus fed all them people. So listen, I'm praying this all makes sense because it makes sense in my head. And it really is just scratching the surface. I think the most time-consuming task is really understanding your organization and your organizational structure. I'm going through that now. I'm in my new job. I've hit the first 60 days. And guys, I'm still trying to meet people, right? And we're all remote. So that makes it a little bit more challenging because I have to spend a little more time really understanding, the nuances of the culture. And that's okay. But I'm going into this with the intention, right, to build relationships. The other thing I just did is I hit my boss's boss up and I was like, hey, I'm coming up on my 90 days. Let's connect, right? So I made up a reason just to connect with him. We've had one meeting when I first started, and now we're going to have another one. And we're going to keep having these meetings, and I'm going to keep this going, right? I'm also going to be meeting with some of his peers. I'm also meeting with peers of my manager. Now, the good thing is I have a good manager. She don't care. Right? Like, she wants me to build these relationships. She knows what my next goals are. It's no secret. I'm trying to leave the country before the next election. So I'm trying to get an expat role outside of the US. Not making any qualms about it. So that's my goal. And, I've got 2 years to, show myself, prove myself to a certain extent, add value, and then start networking to get this next role. So that's how you have to start off. And let's say you've been at a company for some time and you really have just been heads down and you've made some progress. Let's say you've stalled out. This is where this is the gap. This is why you've stalled out. You have not put the time in to build the relationship. So make the deposits, guys. And I know we don't like to do this. And I know why we don't like to do this. Because that little chit chat and all that shit is painful. But these are the deposits. It's also painful when you want to go buy something and you ain't got the money. So save, put the time in. And so when you need it, you can tap into it and you'll have these people advocating for you. And then hopefully through the relationship building, you will attract a sponsor. Because see, you can't create the sponsor relationship. True sponsorship, the person picks you. They see you, they pick you. But the way that you can encourage and attract sponsorship is by building relationships and having these advocates that you've built relationships with. They're talking about you. They're driving the narrative you seeded. And now the sponsor level people are like, oh, who's this Felicia Anuha? Anuha? What's her name? Oh, she did that? Oh, okay. What else has she been doing? Oh, okay. Okay. Now, mind you, I don't even know who this person is. Okay. Well, and she wants an expat assignment? Yeah, we should do that. Yeah, that's good. And then out the blue, they might meet with you because they do that sometimes. But again, you got to make the deposits and getting that sponsorship. That's the interest. It compounds. Y'all know I'm half Nigerian. I love talking about money. So stereotypical and problematic. I love y'all. Listen, we're going to get out of here. If you have any questions about building relationships, hit me up at ask@trillandba.com. If you want a coaching session, you can always go to trillandba.com/coaching. The sessions are 45 minutes and we can strategize and talk about a specific work situation. I can also strategize and help you with your relationship building strategy, kind of talk you through what to look out for in your organization after a couple questions I ask you about your specific culture. There's only a finite amount of types of company cultures. I'm pretty good at breaking down which one you may be in based on, the experiences you tell me about. We can do that. I'm always happy to answer questions and connect you to the right people if I don't know the answer, if you email me. So again, that's trillandba.com/coaching to schedule a 45-minute consultation with me. Or you can email us at ask@trillandba.com to submit your question or concern. or any wins. I love getting wins, guys. I love that you are listening to this show and it's helping you. It keeps me motivated to keep doing these episodes and keep doing the show, even though I have way too many irons in the fire, as my grandma used to say. You guys encourage me to keep going. So it's time for us to get out of here. So until next time, guys, keep it trill. The Trill NBA Show is a Fair World Corp LLC production. Executive produced by Felicia and Rose Inuha. Sound design and editing by Chris Mann with Podshaper. Theme music is Kick Push by Ryan Little. Keep it trill every day, y'all.